Hello, and welcome back to another movie review, where initially I had planned to review Die Hard 2, but again, I'm pushing it further down the line because I just don't feel like watching it at the moment. So I opted to swap it out, considering the fact that I'm already doing three tales from my backlog this month. So the film I decided to swap it out to is Our Day Out. Technically, it's a film. Technically, it's a play. Let's get into that. So, yeah, Our Day Out is something that came about through the BBC Play of the Week, where they take a play, in this case written by Willy Russell, and they turned it into a movie of sorts. So it runs for an hour and 10 minutes, and I love it. I was shown it as in my teens in school, and I thought it was a very interesting story, and I completely forgot all about it. I knew the premise of it, I could visualize the characters, but I just could not remember for the life of me what this film was called. And that's why Google is your friend. So I typed in a few of the key phrases, and then it led me to this Reddit thread where someone said what I was looking for, being this film, Our Day Out. I Googled it, Our Day Out, looked at it, was like, oh, this is it. This is the film that I've been looking for. And then I was saddened to realize that there wasn't a physical version of it. There was, but it was out of stock. Yeah, so Amazon, this is where I got it from, was Amazon. And unfortunately, it was just out of stock, and just there was no way of buying it on eBay because I looked it up. No listings. And so that was going to be that. I knew it existed on YouTube because that's how my teacher showed it to us um, via YouTube. And I thought then, maybe I'll have to, make my own bootleg copy of it. Download it from YouTube and maybe burn it onto a disc and create a cover art, stuff like that. But then randomly, one day I was looking on eBay, not eBay, on Amazon, just scrolling through. It was like I felt like buying something, um, you know that feeling. And as I was just scrolling down, because I was going to maybe order something, but then this caught my eye, and there's only two copies left. I was like, oh, I'm gonna buy that. I've been wanting to rewatch it. Uh, so I did, and literally not long after purchasing it, it went out of stock. But luckily, I got it. So, Our Day Out by Willy Russell. What is it about? Well, it's, about Mrs. K. I believe yeah, Mrs. K, played by Jean Haywood, um, taking her remedial class, the slow class, on a trip to Conway in Wales, and when a particular hard ass teacher called Mr. Briggs finds out that they're going on yet another school trip after he thought they had been cancelled, he forces himself to go on the trip. He goes to her and says, look, the principal said that it's best that if I go with you as well, and hijinks ensues. Yes, so they have several stops before they get to Conway Castle. They stop off at a cafe, and it's a very funny scene, of them at the sweet shop trying to like gauge the prices, and these dinner ladies have upped the prices, which we see in a scene beforehand. And then when their backs are turned, they nick everything. And then it's at the end where they're all about to leave, and the dinner lady's like, "Oh, we haven't had a successful day like this in ages. Let's count our winnings." Opens the till, realizes that they've been nicked, and the coach drives off beforehand. They make a stop at the zoo. More hijinks ensues where they steal a couple of the animals. Luckily, they didn't get too far. And then they make it to Conway Castle, and then they go onto the beach. And then they make it home. Now, there's when I was watching this, it did bring me back to when I went on school trips, and just the fun of it. I didn't do a lot of the school trips that I could have done in secondary school, But in primary school, I definitely did go on a lot of those trips, and this film reminded me of some of those that I had long forgotten about. And it was also it reminded me as well, looking at Mrs. K and Mr. Briggs, of like their teaching styles. Mrs. K understands that these kids won't be able to experience some of these things, like stopping off at the zoo, going to the beach. And she wants to give them the best day that they possibly can get. Um, which is why, in the end, Mr. Briggs, he kind of comes around and brings them to the fair. Um, and then, as I said, Mr. Briggs is more of a hard ass. And I've had, teachers of the exact same caliber, and I'm sure a lot of people have had teachers that are just like Mrs. K, that really cares about her students and really wants the best from them. Whereas Mr. Briggs is a hard ass and wants to do teaching his way, which is why multiple times he's threatened to force the coach to go back to Liverpool. But then there's a scene with Carol, where she, you know, obviously comes from a rough background, has been loving this day out as probably the best day she's ever had, in her entire life, and she doesn't want to go home. She doesn't want to go back to that. Go back to crummy old Liverpool back in the 70s. And so she's up on this cliffside. Mr. Briggs finds her, and she threatens to kill herself if he doesn't leave her. And that's a key turning point for Briggs as a character, which is why it allowed him to say, oh, let's go to the fair after this. And so a bunch of pictures are being taken by Mrs. K. And we also learned that Mr. Briggs is he loves going taking photographs of things. And so he was going to develop up these photos, because Mrs. K and two the other chaperones, they go to the pub for a drink. um, but Mr. Briggs, just before he steps into his car, he takes the film reel, and destroys it. So I think in order to keep that hard ass mentality that he's been betraying, so that way his students don't view him differently. He's still in that mindset of his way of teaching is right, and that's brilliant. I love this film. I think Willy Russell done a fantastic job penning this. I won't necessarily say script because it's a play. So yeah, I'm not sure how well the play done. I think there might have been a musical version of it at some point as well. I don't know, but I love this film. I'm really glad that I went back and watched this. Um, because I thought had forgotten certain bits because I don't think I had seen it all. But as I was watching it, I was like, oh no, yeah, no, I definitely remember this bit. I've definitely seen it. So yeah, I'm very happy that I've gone back to check out Our Day Out. And like I said, it's on YouTube if you want to check it out. It's hilarious. It's moving at times, and honestly, it's a fun ride. So yeah, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. The next video will of course be on Friday, and that is for an anime review of season 1 of Seraph of the End. I'll see you all for that one.